You ever open a book, start reading, and feel like your brain is just disappearing words? Like you read a chapter, finish a page, and by tomorrow, it's gone. 95% of what you read today will vanish in 24 hours if you do this right. But what if I told you there's a way to actually remember everything you read for life? Not by speed, not by highlighting, not by rereading. There's a science behind memory that almost nobody teaches you. And once you get it, your brain will never treat reading the same way again. Let me tell you a quick story. Kim Peek, the man who inspired Rain Man could memorize entire books after reading them just once. Words, facts, dates, all perfectly intact in his mind. But even he had a secret. Memorizing words isn't the real goal. The real magic happens when you understand ideas, connect them, and recall them at the right moments. That's what turns fleeting memory into permanent knowledge. Step 1. Don't read to finish. Read to understand. Since childhood, we've been taught to race through chapters, to finish books, to tick off pages like it's a checklist. But here, ask the truth your teachers never told you. Your brain remembers speed, it remembers meaning. Every paragraph, every line is a chance to build connections. Don't rush. After each paragraph, pause for 5 seconds and ask yourself, what is the author really trying to tell me? That tiny question forces your brain to think actively, to engage, to convert words into ideas. Understanding creates memory. Finishing does not. Step 2. The one-line recall. After you finish a page or chapter, don't highlight, don't write notes. Don't reread. Just pause and say one line in your own words, out loud or in your mind. That's it. One line per chapter. It seems simple, but here's why it works. Memory isn't built when you read. It's built when you pull information out of your brain. Even 5 seconds of recall tells your brain, this matters. Remember this? That's why Kim Peek could store books in his mind. He instinctively recalled, processed, and embedded meaning rather than just words. Step 3. The 10-24 rule. This is where short-term memory becomes permanent. After learning something new, review it once after 10 minutes and again after 24 hours, but don't reread the page. Look at your one-line summary and try to recall the main idea. You re-showing your brain the exact information right at the moment it's about to be forgotten. That timing alone builds long-term memory faster than anything else. Most people read more books, but forget nearly everything because they never revisit the ideas, never trigger recall at the right moment. Here's a psychological truth most people ignore. Your brain is lazy, but it's incredibly adaptive. It doesn't store what's trivial or unimportant. And if you don't tell it something matters, it lets it vanish. By actively engaging with what you read, questioning, summarizing, recalling, you create a permanent imprint. Every line, every concept, every chapter becomes part of your mental architecture. Let's make this practical. Tomorrow, when you open a book, follow these steps. Read slowly, understand each paragraph, ask what it means, capture one line per section, and schedule 2 short recall moments, 10 minutes after reading and 24 hours later. That's it. Sounds small, but consistency compounds. Knowledge isn't built in bursts. It's built in repetition, review, and reflection. Think about it like exercise. You don't become strong by lifting once or reading once. You strengthen your muscles or your brain by repeated, intentional action. And this method is subtle but lethal in its effectiveness. Once you build this habit, your brain begins to expect it. Your focus sharpens. Your recall improves. Words become ideas. Ideas become understanding. And understanding sticks. Here's an example you'll love. Imagine reading a book on entrepreneurship. You finish a chapter, pause, recall the one line that captures its essence. Customers don't buy products, they buy solutions to problems. 10 minutes later, you recall it again. 24 hours later, you recall it again. That principle now becomes part of your mindset. It guides decisions, strategies, and actions without you even consciously thinking. That's how reading transforms into permanent advantage. Most people fail because they treat reading like ticking off a checklist. They rush, they highlight, they forget. But mastery of memory is about slowing down, actively engaging, and timing your recall. The difference between someone who reads 5 books and remembers nothing, or someone who reads 1 book and remembers everything, is in the method, not effort. Another tip most people miss: connect ideas to your life. When recalling that one line, imagine how it applies to your day, your work, or your goals. This mental connection further solidifies memory and transforms abstract knowledge into actionable insight. Your brain loves context. It forgets isolated facts, but remembers relevance. Let's take it one step further. Every week, review your one-line summaries. Group similar ideas together. Look for patterns. This is how knowledge accumulates and compounds. One day, you'll realize you've built a library in your mind, each concept linked, each principle ready to deploy when needed. You'll stop forgetting, start understanding, and gain a real advantage over the average reader. Now, here's a psychological twist. Our brains are wired to favor novelty and reward. If you make recall fun, like quizzing yourself, teaching someone, or writing your one-line summary in a creative way, your brain releases dopamine and memory sticks even stronger. Learning becomes addictive, and your mind starts craving this process rather than random distractions. Most people think the goal of reading is volume. That's a trap. Volume without retention is useless. The real goal is remembering what you read and letting it change your life. Apply these 3 steps consistently, and your mind becomes a machine for permanent knowledge. You'll understand books, lectures, articles, and even conversations on a deeper level, instantly connecting dots that others miss. So here's what I want you to do now. The next time you pick up a book, don't just skim, don't just highlight, don't just read. Read to understand. Pause, recall one line, and review it at the perfect times. Practice this every day. Within weeks, you'll notice the difference. Your brain will feel sharper, more alive, ideas will stick. Lessons will last, knowledge will actually become power. Memory isn't magic, it's method. And with the right method, you can literally remember everything you read for life. If you found this helpful, comment below your favorite one-line takeaway. Hit that like button and make sure you subscribe for more brain hacking strategies that actually stick.